Welcome to this week's Client Attraction Clinic. Now, this is the place where we challenge conventional thinking. For me, I think totally outside the box. I want to cut through the noise. I want to have real conversations about business, money, marketing, and what it actually takes to build a business that would impact an agent's life. So if you're tired of surface level advice, the same old stuff over and over again, just all the recycled talking points and the same worn out scripts that everybody else is repeating, if you're tired of that, then you're in the right place. My goal here is simple. It's to help you think more clearly, make better decisions, and see opportunities that other people miss so that you can begin to attract clients instead of chasing them. And I think that's a big distinction, or at least it is for me, in how I talk to agents. Hey, listen, if you're happy just chasing people all the time, cool. I'm about let's attract them. So whether you're here to grow your business, strengthen your financial future, or just start asking better questions, then I'm glad you're here. So with that, let's get into it. What I want to talk about today is pretty simple. I want to give you an overview and I'm going to give you a framework because this is about the pre-work that a serious agent has to finish before they try to scale leads, right? See, most agents are trying to generate leads before they're actually ready to convert them. Because it's not about the number of leads you have, it's about can you convert them. Now, it's one of the biggest reasons I find that agents stay frustrated, right? They say they need more leads, they need more traffic, they need more ad spend, more exposure, more people in the pipeline. But most of the time, that's not actually the first problem. The real problem is that they're trying to scale attention before they built the structure to turn that attention into appointments and the appointments into clients and closings. And that's what we're going to talk about today. That's structure. Because if you skip the pre-work, more leads don't solve your business problems. They only expose them. And the truth is they magnify them. They make the business look busier and you're much less effective. So today I want to walk you through something that almost nobody talks about, or at least if they do, it's not enough, which is fine. Lead generation should not come first. Readiness has to come first. And if agents who understand that are the ones who build businesses that are not just active, but they're profitable, stable, and scalable, right? It's possible, even in this environment, folks, right? I know agents closing 100, 200, 300, 500 transactions this year. They grew 40, 50% last year while everybody else was struggling. So I'm going to break this down into segments for you. And the first one is the lie that most agents believe, right? We've been trained to think that lead generation is the first move, right? If I can just get enough leads, everything else is going to work itself out. It sounds logical. It's also one of the most expensive beliefs in this business because what happens usually is that an agent gets excited. They start running ads. They buy internet leads. They start direct mail. They launch social media. Maybe they boost a post. Maybe they're paying for Zillow. And then the leads come in. Not always a flood, but enough. And then the chaos begins. They don't know how to respond fast enough. They haven't automated, right? They don't know what to say. They don't have a follow-up cadence. They don't have a pre-qualification process. They don't have a presentation. They don't have a system for sorting leads, hot leads from cold leads, and they don't have the discipline to stay on top of it. So the business starts to feel busy, but not productive. And that's where a lot of agents get trapped. They mistake activity for progress. Oh my God, I'm working so hard. I'm working 60 hours a week. That's activity. That's not progress. They think the problem is that they're going to need more leads. Usually the truth is they just needed better infrastructure before they ever turn the lead machine on. That's the hard truth, folks. And nobody tells agents that, right? It's all about leads. But more leads are not automatically an asset. Leads are only valuable if you have the systems that convert it. Otherwise, they just become wasted money, missed opportunities, inconsistent follow-up, and the emotional drain of almosts, right? We've all been through this stuff, right? The problem is when you have so many leads and you're not sorting hot from cold, or hot from medium and cold, you're missing out on the real opportunities to get paid. And serious agents need to understand that before they go chasing scale, right? So traffic, or segment 2, is about traffic before infrastructure is backwards. Let me just say that as clearly as I can. Wanting traffic before you have infrastructure is backwards, right? I see all these, in these Facebook real estate groups, I see agents, they'll go, does anybody have a good listing presentation? And then you'll see hundreds of agents go following. That's the infrastructure that I'm talking about. Why are you trying to get leads and you don't even have a presentation to go on a listing appointment? See, it's like pouring water into a bucket full of holes and then blaming the water. The issue is not the volume coming in. The issue is what your business is prepared to do with it once it arrives. See, amateurs love the visible part of the business. They love the ad and, oh my gosh, the campaign and the post, and they love saying, hey, I'm generating leads. And the truth is, in today's world, it's that dopamine hit from, oh, look at the shares and the comments I get. Usually you're not getting any of those, so you're not getting the dopamine hit, right? See, operators understand that the campaign is only the front end. The real money is made what happens after the lead raises their hand. Would you guys rather have a client that you're chasing or a lead that you're chasing, or would you rather have them raise their hand? That's what we do with our listing leads. We don't do anything with them until they actually raise their hand and do something. See, that's where system matters. That's where follow-up matters. That's where your presentation comes into play. That's where the calendar discipline matters. Are you managing your time? That's where your messaging matters. See, that's the ability to guide a prospect through a process. All that's the important. It's the process that's important, not necessarily the lead. And if you don't have the pieces in place, then scaling lead generation is like stepping on the gas while your steering is broken, right? You may move faster, but you don't have any control. And I want you to hear this, because this is where so many agents create such pain for themselves. They think they have a lead problem. What they often have is a preparedness problem. They don't have the infrastructure in place to handle it. They've not done the setup work. They're not building the conversion environment. Let's be honest, folks, leads are not relevant if you can't turn them into clients and closings. So if you don't have the systems that make lead generation pay off, why are you doing it? So instead of more leads bringing more confidence, more leads bringing more stress, you can completely avoid that. So let's talk about the pre-work, right? Segment 3. Pre-work is what makes leads valuable, because this is where the serious agents win. The setup work is not the glamorous stuff. Nobody brags about it on social media. I'm sure the videos on this won't get as many views or comments because this is the dirty work that nobody wants to talk about. Nobody puts up a post that says, hey, I just spent 3 hours tightening up my buyer presentation and building my nurture workflow. You ever see that in social media? See, it's not sexy, but it's profitable. And the agents who are willing to do this work first are the ones that stop wasting opportunities later. So the question is, what should be done before you try and scale lead generation? The previous episodes of the Client Attraction Clinics, we've broken this down. I gave you homework. So let's break it down and do this again. First is USP clarity. USP stands unique selling proposition. Why do I hire you instead of every other agent or every other option? See, before you scale, you need to be crystal clear on why somebody should choose you. Not agents in general, but you. See, what's the promise? What's the positioning? What's the differentiator for you? If a lead says, hey, why would I work with you? Do you have a compelling, confident answer? Now go back and watch the previous videos, because I believe it was the last one or the 2 classes before. I went through what I say. Because if you don't say something different, you're just going to sound like every other agent in town. If your messaging is generic, your conversion will be generic. It's really that simple. A serious business needs a sharp point of distinction. Why you? Then buyer and seller presentations. These are huge. See, if someone's ready to move, do you have a polished, persuasive presentation? Not something that you're sitting there reading a PowerPoint to them and boring them to death. Not something you threw together at the last minute. Do you have a process that you go through? You're in a listing appointment. Do you have a process that you go through? Not having a loose conversation, not winging it. So many agents say, I'm just really good at chit chat, so I just wing it. No, that's not how pros work. Something that helps a prospect understand what you do, what your process is, how it works, what makes your approach different, why they should trust you, and why moving forward now makes sense. Too many agents say they want more appointments without having a presentation that's worthy of the appointment. If you can't convert, you can have all the listing or buyer appointments on the planet that you want, but if you can't turn any of them into business, who cares? See, that's backwards. The follow-up process is ready. One of the biggest leaks in real estate, right? I'll do live or I'll do webinars and I'll go, how many of you guys actually have a CRM? And I'll go, I have one. Great. How many of you guys actually use the CRM? How many of your people are hearing from you 2 to 3, 4 times a week? And then you'll see almost no hands go up. So it's one of the biggest leaks in our business. See, most leads aren't going to convert on the first contact. So the question becomes, what are you going to do next? Do you have a follow-up process? A real one. Do you know what happens after the first call, after the first text, after the first email, after no response, right? You get ghosted. What happens? After the not right now, after call me in a few months. We've all heard that stuff, haven't we? See, if your follow-up is random, your conversion is random. And random is not a business model. Here's the other thing I want you to consider, folks. Email is not your solution. Most people don't look at their email, and if they do, might be in 2 weeks. A lot of it will go to spam. So it can't be just email. That's not a follow-up system, right? All right, next. You have your USP. You have your presentations. You know what you say. You have a process. Do you have a calendar? Are you time blocking? See, it sounds boring, but this is where a lot of agents fail. You say you want more leads. Great. Where exactly are the leads going to fit into your actual week? When are you doing the prospect follow-up? When are you making those calls? When are you doing appointments? When are you doing your marketing? When are you role-playing? When are you nurturing past clients and referrals? See, if your calendar is already chaotic, more leads isn't going to fix that. It's only going to compete for your attention inside an undisciplined schedule. And then what happens? The important stuff gets delayed, the follow-up slips, the leads cool off, the opportunity dies. So yes, serious agents need time blocking before they scale. It's one of the most important things you need to do, and yet I find less than 10% of agents ever do it. So yes, serious agents need time blocking before they even consider scaling. Number 5, core marketing. Are your assets prepared? See, before you drive traffic, what are you driving people to? Do you have a strong landing page, a clear lead magnet, a direct mail piece, a clean presentation, a compelling newsletter, a deal of the week concept, scripts, email templates, text follow-up language? Before this call today, I was fine-tuning the cash offer follow-up or the thank you page, right? We have a process that happens. It clearly explains what happens once they ask for a cash offer. Here's what happens next. Here's what we do. Don't expect this. It's a process. Because if the front end is sloppy, your results are going to be sloppy. Leads do not just need attention, they need to be guided. And that requires assets. And then you need to tell them what to do, right? Here's how our process works. It's going to take 24 to 48 hours. We don't present these on Zoom. We do this live. Our investors require us to look at the property before. Why do we do that? Because we're not going to allow them to say, just send it over to me. It's not how that works. Number 6, nurture workflow is prepared. That's where the long-term money lives. A lot of leads are not ready right now. That doesn't mean they're bad leads. It just means they're future leads. So do you have a workflow that stays in touch? Do you have a plan? Do you have an email nurture, a newsletter, a market update, occasional text, referral follow-up? Are you doing social media targeting? Do you have direct mail touches, right? We do some webinars, right? We do a listing webinar. We do a buyer webinar. And we do those and rotate them every other week. We're constantly inviting them to those things. Because one of the biggest mistakes agents make is treating not now like never. Serious agents know to stay in the game long enough, you have to be there when timing changes. The next segment, the setup work is not glamorous, but it's profitable. Yeah, I know I said that before, but I want to hammer that point home. It doesn't feel exciting the way lead generation feels exciting. Running ads is exciting. Launching campaigns, posting content, seeing inquiries come in. All exciting. But the quiet setup work? Now that feels slow. It's boring, right? It's unsexy. It feels like you're not moving fast enough. It's exactly why so many agents skip it, but the serious ones don't, because they understand something important happens. The boring work is often the profitable work. So go talk to anybody who has a significant size team, and you'll see they've done all the boring work. They have checklists, they have process, they have scripting, they have role-playing times. They do it all. That's the boring work, but that's the profitable. It's what separates the dabblers, the part-timers, from the operators. See, dabblers is how I refer to them. They're addicted to motion. Operators are committed to structure. Dabblers want to look busy. Operators want to build something that platforms. Dabblers chase attention. Operators just simply build systems that they know what to do with attention. Back when I was in production, I'm not in production anymore. I manage a large team, but I'm not in production. When I did, my goal was to make 7 figures and work 30 hours a week. And I was able to attain that for 7 years in a row. But I was able to do that because I had systems. See, if you're just trying to become the agent that kind of builds a real business, not just survives month to month, then you got to get comfortable with the fact that some of the most important work you're going to do won't be visible. It's the behind the scenes stuff. Working on your presentations, tightening up your offers, cleaning up your CRM, building the follow-up sequences, blocking the calendar. See, that work is what never gets applause or attention. It just gets results. The next segment, if you skip the pre-work, more leads are only going to create more confusion. See, that's where I want to issue that warning. If pre-work is skipped, more leads create more confusion. Not more clarity, not more control, more confusion. Because what starts to happen is you've got leads that are coming in from different places, no process, no response system, no clear priority structure. Hey, who should I call first? No defined follow-up path, no confidence in your presentation, and worst of all, no clarity around what you're going to say next. If you ever seen me on stage handle objections, everybody goes, oh my gosh, I want to be able to do that. How did you do that? I practice. I've said everything thousands of times. So every lead becomes a judgment call, folks. Every lead requires reinventing the wheel if you don't do the pre-work. Every prospect gets a different experience. And eventually the business just becomes noisy. You're working hard, but it feels messy. And the worst part, you start thinking is the problem is the leads themselves. These internet leads suck. No, nobody's serious. The market's weird. Interest rates are high. People are flaky. Now, yeah, some of that's true, but often what's really happening is this. You're just trying to force prospects through a business that was never properly prepared to handle it. And that's not a lead quality issue. That's an infrastructure issue. That's why readiness matters, okay? And if you care about profit, not just activity, that readiness has to come before scale. Segment 6, what serious agents should have in place. So let me give you a high-level checklist. And yes, I know I'm going to go through this fast. You'll be able to find it on you can find the video on YouTube. You'll be able to find it on my podcast. Just look for real estate client attraction clinics on YouTube. But before you start to scale, here's what you should have. Clarity on your USP. If you can't figure out why people should hire you, they just won't. A buyer presentation ready. A seller presentation ready. Direct mail tools ready. Direct mail still works, and the truth is, guys, it actually works better than Facebook ads. CRM and follow-up system set up. Newsletter or nurture system in motion. Deal of the week or recurring content concept. Webinar or educational conversion path, if you have it. Role play and objection handling sharpened. Referral systems running. Partner meetings built into the calendar. Time-blocked weekly schedules. Core scripts ready. Lead response workflow defined. Here's what happens. And then a nurture process for the long game. See, that's what makes lead generation valuable. That's what makes money stick. It's what gives an agent confidence when they finally decide to push the gas pedal down. Because now, instead of hoping the business will somehow absorb the volume, you know it will. And that's going to change the game for you. Now, why this method starts, why do I teach this earlier than most people expect? It's opposite of what most gurus are training you. It's about get more leads and practice your scripts and that. No, the infrastructure's got to be there first. It's one of the reasons that my method starts earlier than most agents expect. This is how I built my business, a 7-figure business for 7 years in a row before I walked away from production working about 30. There were times I'd work a 40-hour week, working about 30 hours a week. And it happened that way because I had the structure. Because what most people want is the magic bullet. They want me to tell them, yeah, what ad to run, or what list to mail, or what platform you should be using, what CRM's best, what script, how to get leads fast. But if I start there, then I'm just doing you a disservice. Because if the machine behind the campaign is weak, then even a good campaign is going to get wasted. So yeah, the method starts earlier. Forgot to silence the phone, didn't I? And so at the end of the day, it all starts with your preparation, guys. It starts with your structure. It starts with knowing what you're going to do so that you can scale demand, so that you need to be worthy of that demand. That's not the sexy answer that every agent wants. I get it. But it's the professional answer, and it's the right one. And serious agents know the difference. So if you take one thing from this class, let it be this. Lead generation is not step one. More leads don't automatically create more income. More leads aren't the only valuable part of your business because you're not ready to convert them. So before you chase more traffic, you're going to need to ask yourself this. Am I really ready for the leads? Or do I just like the idea of more leads? Do I have a presentation? Do I have the follow-up? Can I nurture them? Do I have the calendar discipline? Do I have the marketing assets? Most importantly, if you had all those, do you have the confidence? Because here's the difference between conversion and not converting. All these other things are important, folks. But if you don't have the confidence in what you do, you won't convert at the best levels. And if your answer was no to those, then the smartest next move is to start putting that stuff in place. Start preparing. And that's exactly how serious agents stop wasting leads, stop feeling chaotic, and start building a business that actually grows. And if you want the full framework, get the free guide that I created, the 15-hour client attraction method. You just visit www.15hourmethod.com. It goes through each step of this, right? So it'll walk you through the pieces and the process that need to be in place before you start trying to generate more demand. Because once the foundation is right, the lead generation gets a whole lot more profitable. And with that, any questions real quick? We've got a pretty good sized crowd here. Any questions that I can answer for you? Stick it in the chat. We're always shy on the chats, which is fine. All right, so if there are no questions, folks, thanks for being here. I hope it helped. Yes, I know I went through it really fast. The replays will be there. And usually in the replay, I have underneath in the text, I broke it down into the segments so you can copy and paste a lot of it too. So just go to the Real Estate Client Attraction Clinics in YouTube, and it'll be up there in a few hours, okay? So with that, folks, I hope it helps, and we'll talk to you next week.